Some people like my driving videos. So I decided to make a few walking videos. Plus, I need some new background images for my other videos. Remember, I am receiving disability. So making these types of videos can be difficult. Therefore, I will not be making a lot of them. This is Chicago's Millennium Park. Right now, it is still kind of cold outside, and this is why there are not a lot of people out. However, once it gets warm outside, then every day this park will be filled with people. However, in the 1990s, it was part of Grant Park. Then Chicago got a new mayor and he wanted to compete with New York City's Central Park. So he cut Grant Park into 3 sections. The north section is now called Millennium Park, and this is where most of the tourists first go. The middle section is still called Grant Park, and the south section is called Museum Campus. I am showing you most of Millennium Park, but not all of it. They do conduct concerts and other entertainment in Millennium Park, but none of it is free. In the late 1980s and 1990s, Chicago provided some free concerts. But not anymore. The Art Museum is part of Grant Park, and was free on Tuesdays. Now you have to pay to get in, and then pay again to see the best exhibits. The south part is called Museum Campus. This part has the planetarium, which you have to pay to get in. The aquarium, which you have to pay to get in, and then pay to see the best exhibits. Plus, pay once more to see the dolphins. Museum Campus also has the Dinosaur Museum, which was free on Wednesdays. But now you have to pay to get in, and then pay again to see the best exhibits. Plus, the Museum Campus has the football stadium and Buckingham Fountain. When I was around 5 to 8 years old, my parents would bring us to Buckingham Fountain at night. Now, no place in Chicago has free parking. This mayor even tried to put parking meters around all the churches so the people would have to pay to attend church on Sundays. Museum Campus once had a small airport called Meigs Field. Every month the Tuskegee Airmen would give free airplane rides to children at Meigs Field. One of my grandfathers was a Tuskegee Airman during the Korean War. For my foreign viewers, the Tuskegee Airmen were an all-black or African American military pilot group during World War II. During World War II, they had the best fighter and bomber record of all the military pilot groups. As I stated earlier, the new mayor wanted to compete with New York City's Central Park. So he wanted to get rid of the airport and have a big park. However, even today, no one goes down there because it is way out of the way. That airport was created in 1948, and was destroyed in 2003. The mayor tried everything he could to get rid of the airport, but the courts always stopped him. So one day, late at night, when the airport was closed, he had some bulldozers come in and destroy the runway. The runway could not be fixed. It could only be rebuilt. To make a long story short, a few months later, the new mayor was able to destroy the whole airport. His father was the mayor of Chicago in the 1960s and the 1970s, and he also was just as big of an asshole as his son. In the 1960s, in the middle of the night, his father burned down the office of the Civil Rights Movement. In the 1970s, he had the leader of the Chicago chapter of the Black Panthers killed. On the north side of Chicago, right next to the lake, is another park that is as big as Grant Park. In the 1960s and 1970s, that area was filled with Polish immigrants. That area had so many Polish immigrants that some places only had store signs in Polish. Plus, most of those people did not speak English. Even today, many Polish immigrants who lived back then, and are still alive, still do not speak English. One of my friends has a federal government job, where she goes house to house explaining government services to the Polish people that do not know English. There are many communities in the United States where people do not speak English, such as Chinese, Russian, Vietnamese, Jewish, Korean, Spanish, and many other communities where no one speaks English. Plus, in some of these communities, the children that were born and raised in the United States do not learn English until they are 18 years old. In the 1980s, all the Polish people moved to the suburbs and were replaced by people from Mexico, South America, and Central America. In the 1990s, this park was filled with families from Mexico, South America, and Central America. They were having cookouts, playing football, and having a good time with their families. The new mayor destroyed the football and baseball fields. He planted trees and bushes. So now there were very few places to have cookouts and where children could play. Next, to make sure they did not come back, he installed parking meters. All of this resulted in a drop in sales tax revenue because now fewer people were driving into the city and spending their money going to restaurants, shops, and bars. To make up for the loss in tax revenue, he increased property taxes. This resulted in restaurants, shops and bars increasing their prices, which caused more people to stay in the suburbs for their entertainment. Now most of the small restaurants, shops and bars are gone. They have been replaced by the big national chains. Before the new mayor took over in the 1990s, Chicago was a working man's town. This meant you could get a nice apartment in a good location, at a reasonable price. And if you were a poor broke college student, all you needed was to put some gasoline in your car, drive to the lakefront, and hang out with all the other poor people. Plus, there were a lot of small family-owned restaurants, shops and bars that had very affordable prices. Thus, you could take a girl on a nice date with very little money in your pocket. Not anymore. Chicago is expensive, but still not as expensive as New York City. Some say that Chicago is like New York City, but smaller and cleaner.